Well, we're back.
I'm back, you know that I never left. I got tracks and some music that you never guessed. I don't slack, don't lose, learn your lesson yet. When I get to choose what I do, I'm like a weapon. I'm not sharp as many, but got hard. I'm ready to change scars to envy, to win large and plenty. I like to play fast, never change back. Calling out, I'll pay back, cause I'm great at that.
So, since we're back, I may as well cover everything that's happened, really. So, I guess here's kind of a little roadmap of what we're going to be doing for the podcast. It's going to be talking about the Nexus and all the tournaments that were in there this weekend. Then it's going to jump to some Utica Pioneers, then to the Utica Comets, then to the New York Rangers. So, to kick off, we're going to have to talk about the Nexus that just opened up Thursday. And it was opened up with a junior comic game. I don't know which team exactly played it, but I know it was won by the junior comets. First game won in that building. First game played in that building. And it's exciting to say that. I'm glad to say the Nexus is finally open. We've been waiting so long for this building to be open, and I heard a thing or two beforehand about what it may or may not look like, and it's more than I thought it'd be. It's different than I thought it'd be. And especially with some of the problems they had, they fixed it well. You wouldn't realize they had certain problems. Because there was a couple of things that there was word that could be cut out, or there was problems with certain things with the rinks. No problems now. You wouldn't know. You really wouldn't know. And honestly, I'm excited. They have 2 floors. The second floor is mostly for watching rinks 2 and 3. There's 3 rinks. The first rink is the main rink. And the first rink is the one that got a lot of play from, or the most play, I think it was, over the whole weekend. There was a lot of play from the Comets there, some of the Comets teams. There was, I don't know the exact teams off my head, but it was supposed to be 40 was the one I kept hearing thrown around beforehand. There ended up being 30 teams total, but it's still, for an opening tournament, it did really well. There was a lot of people, and there was some good teams. It was the grand opening series. There was AAA Squirts, AAA Pierre. This is November 11, 13. It was AAA Squirts 2013 through 2010 and AA Squirts. So, you saw AA Squirts on one board. I think that was the first board that I remember. There was 6. One, and then I think there was 2 AAA. I don't remember what that one is. And then, I know at least one was AAA Squirts. And then you had your 12s, your 11s, your 10s. Because that's in what, 10 through 13? Yeah. So then you had your 12s in a full bracket, your 11s in a full bracket, and your 10s, and those were 6 teams each. The others were 4. Now, I don't know the exact results of the tournaments. I know one of them was won by a Comets team. It was the, I think it was the 13 AAAs, one of those tournaments, was won by a junior Comet team. Trying to see if I can find a schedule for it that tells me everybody who won. But there was rumored one team was from Syracuse, or not Syracuse, from Canada. It's rumored. That's what I heard passed around from parent to parent. What else? I'm trying to think as I'm trying to find the actual schedule. I should have taken a picture of it. But like I said, I think they won that one. There was another Comet team left by the time I left. I think that was a semifinal game. I think it was 11 or 12. The other teams I think got knocked off that there was Comets All of them played really well. Every team that I watched played very well. It didn't matter if it was or who it was. But like I said, there was teams from one was rumored from Canada. You had Utica obviously had multiple junior Comet teams in the tournaments. Westchester was there, a team we haven't seen this year. I think they're Pennsylvania. I think their origin is out of Pennsylvania. The junior Americans, Merck's Rochester Americans system team came into town. I don't know where CP Dynamo is out of. There's a few others that I'm kind of forgetting, and I kind of wish I wasn't. But those are the ones I do know off the top of my head. Now, that was a good tournament. I mean, everything flowed well. You had the UC Bar, Utica Club, that honestly was packed pretty much every day, and it didn't matter. But still, it's a nice bar. I like how it looks. It's the first floor has Utica Coffee, and the second floor has Utica Club. Utica Club above Utica Coffee. So in the mornings, cause Friday I think you went. The earliest was like noon. Saturday was I know Saturday was like 10, and then Friday was 8 for games. It's first games. We were unfortunately enough to be there at 8 a.m., but I was just there at 8 a.m. I don't know why. I just was. Maybe I was prepping for the UC game. Who knows? Actually, I wasn't, but maybe prepping my voice because I was yelling so much during that game. Both games, actually. But both of those flowed well. There wasn't much problem with, like, needing a seat, really, at least for me and the people I was with. And then you had the concession stand, second floor, opposite side of Rink 1. That, honestly, their fries are great. I recommend them. I didn't try anything else yet from there. I had their fries 2 days in a row, and they're great. And for those who don't know, Rink 1 is the only one with seating, actual seating, like in the odd. If you know how the odd is set, it's those chairs, those single chairs, like you're in like an auditorium. It was basically that put in Rink 1. There was no seating for Rink 2 and 3. We either stood ice level along the boards, or you stood second floor overhang. Well, I call it overhang. It's more of just like a standing platform. There was a wall between 1 and 2, and it's because of the sound system, because 1 is the big high-tech rink. It's where the Utica College girls have been moved, and all the junior Comet teams have been moved into Nexus 2, and that's where a lot of them are going to play or practice or do whatever. I think the actual Comets were practicing there. They had shots from there today, so I don't know if they practiced there or not. But 2 and 3, like I said, there's that up and down. You can only stand there. Those, I think, I don't know what they're going to do. They probably just do, like, a soundproof curtain or something. Just because. There occasionally, you will catch a whistle from the other game. You'll really hear it. Or players yelling. And I think that's not necessarily a huge problem for the people watching. But it could be a problem on the ice if somebody catches a whistle, looks up, and then something happens that's bad for their team. You never know. Something like that could happen. But looking at Rink 1 is great. Obviously it's going to have the UC symbol because the UC girls are playing there. I think it was, I don't remember what it was called, the rink. I don't know what they officially named them. I don't remember. But it had a new sound system. It sounded good. The last game it was too loud. But whatever. I mean, too loud speakers at a hockey game, that's normal, pretty much. Same thing happened at Comets games for a while. You just got to get used to it. It's a lot brighter in there, and I will say this, it's super bright in the Nexus. And then you go to the Odd and you go, oh, it's dark in here. Well, the Nexus is super bright. And when you video the ice, it doesn't get yellow like it would in the Odd. The ice is just like your normal white. Someone pointed out to me and I go, huh, that's cool. I like it. I like when I don't have to have a problem with my camera of it picking it up yellow. But if you have a more high-tech camera than your phone, obviously it's not going to be as much of a problem if you get one that can change that. But if you're just doing it on your phone, that's a problem. And most parents are just going to do it on their phone, record. So obviously I get having the brighter lights is better. They have their locker rooms lined up downstairs. They are out of the way, but they're out of the way for the fans. But if you're a player, it's convenient. You're right between rink 1 and 2, all 20-something of them, 25 I think it is, about there. So there's not really much of congestion unless you're another team. And you have exits to rink 1 for those teams in the first 10 next to, or first 8 to 10 next to rink 1. And then rink 2 side, you have, obviously they come right out of those doors and they can walk to the entrance to rink 2, which is just your normal door. But that place is high tech. I mean, you walk in, they've got huge TVs. Rink 1's got a Jumbotron just like the two in the Odd. And not only that, it's got suites. Rink 1's got suites. And they look nice looking from the other side. I haven't been in one. I want to get in one. I don't know when that's going to be. Probably not for a while. But honestly, they look really good from the other side. Then you have the one middle one that I think is, or that has your music people in it, or whoever. If you have somebody playing music for a game or doing whatever, you have them up there, probably. Your scoreboard people are still down on the ice though. And honestly, looking at the Nexus, the thing looks fantastic from the inside and out. I mean, I couldn't be prouder of that building. And you have the red Utica put on the side of it. My only problem is you put the red Utica on the side. I think it would have been better for the people, because people driving by are going to not only get distracted, might be like, "Huh, what's that?" They're not really going to care. You put it in the front. Everyone who's going in there sees it. And not only that, a lot more of the people going in are going to care than the people driving by. But, it is what it is. I don't know. That wasn't even close to anybody's call but the higher-ups, so I don't know what necessarily they're thinking. Although I kind of already think I know what they're thinking, but whatever. But yeah, that building is so nice. And I see the refs took inspiration from Beer League because they call nothing. And it is the same refs. I'm just going to point that out. It's the same refs that ref Beer League in Clinton or Whitestown. Ugh. It's funny to me. But on to UC. Now, UC's coming off 2 home games against Chatham. Their first game was, I'll be the first one to say it, a little sloppy and a little weird. But part of that is because Gary wasn't on the bench. Or was Gary? Gary got suspended for a fight in Stevenson. Who fought? Gary Heenan and the opposing coach. What over? I don't know. I didn't watch the game. Well, apparently it was Gary defending his own player and chirping back and forth between the two coaches. Got rough. Stevenson's coach got 3 games. Gary got 1. That's what I hear from a couple people around in the Odd. That's what I heard. So Gary wasn't in the building for their first game. I know he watched it. I saw him, but he wasn't in there for the first game. Although he was with them for the second game. That is why I don't know if his son's team played in the Nexus the second day, but I didn't see him at all. Actually, they played one. I saw him play in 1 game. So I don't know if he was in the Nexus at all, but if he wasn't, then he was with the team all day the next day. And I can guarantee right now that I feel a little bad for anyone who's getting watched by Gary, who's the assistant coach is coaching or whatever, because, what's scarier than Gary on the bench? Gary off the bench. Yes. Because then he can yell at you for everything at once. No offense to Gary. Gary's great. I see him as a tough coach, and I'll make that joke all the time. He seems very tough, but it's good. It's good to be a tough coach. I like a tough coach. But anyways, Their first game was a little bit of a struggle. They started to fall apart at the end of the second period. They got it back together, ended up winning the first game. I don't have the score right off the top of my head. I can look it up now. Of course, I don't have my phone in my hands when I'm doing this, but they played a very good first. Well, they started off sloppy and then kind of got into a groove once they got momentum, and then they lost momentum, and then they started allowing a few, and then they finally got back. They got the wheels back on the bus, for lack of a better term, and kind of making a joke there too. They got that train underrailed, as you can call it, and they got going. They played well, and they closed it out. They struggled a little, but they closed it out. And then they played them last night. My voice recovered, surprisingly, for that second game. And I don't know if I want to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I think I had probably one of the better chirps all year when it literally went back and forth of one of the Chatham players had to be sitting right in front of me. They pulled the goalie in second game. They pulled their goalie for a freshman. And the first thing I said was, wow, you listened to me. You pulled your goalie. And then the next thing I said was, how does it feel he got pulled for a freshman when somebody told me, hey, that's a freshman in goal, and he did better than the starter? I don't know. That was funny to me. Another highlight was you're a Kansas State ripoff, which they really are if you look at them. Their mascot's a cat. They look similar to Kansas State's with the side look and everything, and their colors are basically the exact same. At least they're purple. So I had a good night chirping last night. Got to see Scott of 315 Hockey quick. Shout out to that podcast, by the way, another local podcast. That was cool to see him between the second and the third come down quick, say hi. I still can't believe how crazy that second game was, because Utica, they started off well. They banked 2. They went to the bank and cashed out 2 goals. That's another weird saying I got from somewhere else, from another sport, but we'll roll with it. But they got it rolling. They really did. The General, Cameron Patton, General Patton as I love calling him, he did have 2 goals tonight, and one of them was, I think, the second one. The first Chatham game was 5-2. They ended up kind of collapsing in the second and allowing 2, but then I think it was 4-2, and then they closed it out with 5th late in the second, or late in the third. But this game, now, like I said, they started off firing, scoring 2 goals, and then the first one was actually, I was wrong. It wasn't General Patton that got these one in the first 2. It was later in the game. So your first 2 went to Brill. I guarantee I said it wrong. They said it different in the game. I'm sorry. I know I'm mispronouncing this. From Dante and Kimball Johnson. Zapata, the captain. And then Dante scores 2 minutes later, under 2 minutes later, with an assist from Osmundson and Scoville. Ozzy and Scovey. And then there was a hit laid on a Chatham player that, in the moment, and I still think it looked, they called it a 5-minute major for a hit to the head, like purposefully hitting the head. Now, the Chatham player had the puck, or was going for a puck, turned away. Blake Holmes hits him. It's not like he does anything intentional to hit him. He hits him in the back. It's not like he even lowers his shoulder or pulls out an elbow or anything. He just straight up hits him in the back. He comes down, hits his head weird a little bit. He hits his head. I don't know if he hit his head weird, but he got his head. And he was bleeding from above the nose. And he's down for a minute. Now, we're all looking at each other going, Well, we all look at each other like it's normal. Like, oh, they got a guy down. I even look back when he went down and go, nice hit, huh? And turn around. The refs put him in the box. They go to put him in for 2. And then they throw him out. They put him in the box. He says nothing. It didn't look like he said very much. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. And we're all looking at each other now going, me and the people I'm with who are behind me and next to me going, what is going on here? And then they end up opening the box or they closed the box, I think, and then opened it again or something to the effect of he got in the box and then ended up getting back out. And right before he got back out, I hear the person behind me that I'm with go, they're going to throw him out. Well, he called it. They threw Holmes out, and then Rutkowski ended up serving the 5-minute major. I got a question. How is it that you called somebody for contact to the head, intentional contact with the head, when Holmes didn't even look like he was going for the head? It's not even me defending a Utica player. Even if it was, still, Holmes looked like he had no sort of like, I'm intentionally going for your head. If that was the case, I would have thought he would have given him an elbow or given him something up high purposefully. You got to see it. He didn't. I didn't see any sort of gesture that indicated, or any sort of movement that indicated, hey, I'm going for the head. It just looked like a normal hit on a guy that turned his back and he went down and got hurt. Well, they threw him out. Why? Why? It's ridiculous that you threw him out for what looked to be a clean hit. I'm right behind the benches. That happened right in front of Chatham's bench. I'm between the middle of the benches. I had a front row seat to that hit. It looked clean to me. I don't know. Everybody around me agreed too. They're all looking at each other going, that's a penalty? That's what you called? That's what you called? Really? The refs sucked at times that game. And then later in the game, they go to call. There was a scuffle that got. Now, there was a pin among the boards. There was a boarding they called on. Let me even pull it up. They went to call a boarding on a Chatham player. Now. Okay, let me get it. Yeah, they called Blake for contact to the head. It was not contact to the head. So later, they call. Alright, it doesn't happen until the second period. So then you just had, like, some normal penalties, like a tripping, a hooking. And then you get. Somebody gets called for a hooking. There's some shoves. I don't know if it was Ozzy. It was somebody smaller. I don't think it was Ozzy. It was somebody. I don't know why Ozzy popped into my head. It's just the first guy. Got shoved into the ice. And right before that was what should have been a boarding, where somebody literally got shoved into the boards and held on the board, or shoved in hard and held for a good 2 minutes. Or a good, a long time. No, they called the original hooking. And then Acosta, which he got an interference. And I get it. Christian's very passionate. He can be a little angered at times, but I didn't see what he did. I don't know if it was an interference, but there should have been more called for Chatham than there was for Utica, but there just wasn't for some reason. I don't know. It was a dumb night. It was really a dumb night. But the one thing I will laugh at is I yelled, our Murph is better than your Murph, or our Murphy's better than your Murphy. And then right after that, Shane Murphy scores for Utica. You can't write this stuff, people. But all in all, you had Cameron Patton, the general, score 2 tonight to get his, I think it's his 3rd and 4th on the year. Shane Murphy scores his 1st of the year. Josh Kagan scores his 1st of the year. Jacob Brolt, something of that nature, scores. It's not his 1st. I think it's somewhere around his 2nd or 3rd. And then same with Dante got somewhere a little higher than that, somewhere north of 5, I'm pretty sure, with one tonight. But it was a good night for all these guys. They all scored. The general scored twice. And honestly, take away the penalties, Chatham doesn't score once. They scored twice in the 5-minute major in 5 minutes. Or in 2 minutes. No. They scored twice in 30 seconds. Without the 5-minute major, they have one goal. I don't blame Utica for those two. It should be a 5-1 game. And if Utica has that momentum, they probably score more. The other power play goal, I haven't looked on what that was on, but I don't remember what power play it was on, but even giving them that, it's just one. Take away that, that's 0. They only scored on power plays. So if Utica does not necessarily play sloppy on some of those penalties, because there was some that shouldn't have happened, or a couple that could have been cleaned up, and if it's on the penalty I'm thinking it is, which I think it was one of those second period ones that was just like a really, what are you calling call? That's 5-0. And I don't think it was on the Holmes penalty. I know it wasn't on the Holmes penalty, and I don't think it was definitely not on the match penalty. But if you clean those penalties up, Utica wins this by a blowout. Actually, I said 5. I keep saying 5. They had 6 goals. They blow this team out if they just keep cleaner. And that's there's one of 3 problems I think that could be happening with Utica. They're playing a little sloppy and probably a little bit cocky, because that's a little bit of what they were coming into the season. They got knocked off by Arcadia twice, and went to overtime with Stevenson twice, even though Stevenson's a very good team. I think their chemistry just needs work with the line switches and getting the 4 transfers and kind of showing these 4 transfers where they are and what this environment is and how to fit in. Not necessarily that anymore, but just like knowing where everybody is at all times, knowing who everyone on your line is, or where everyone on your line is going to be, not who it is, but where everyone's going to be, how they play, where they love to be, where their shots are from, and where to put it. I think that's all there is to it for that. And then you just gotta score on those high percentage chances. They got so many nice chances and nice shots that either got robbed by a goalie or just didn't fall their way. Like, there was a few times where goalie's down on the ice going low, gets down, and they're chipping at it, and they can't get it in. Game could have easily been like 10-3 if we just made a couple of those chip-in goals. Like, I can remember one where the goalie was down on his back, and there's about everybody on the ice sitting there chipping at the puck for like 5 minutes. Not 5 minutes, but like a minute in front of the goalie chipping at the puck, and by the end of that, he ends up on his back on the puck. Should have been a goal. I think it should have been in. There was one breakaway that I think should have been in. And then there was another loose puck that, honestly, I think had enough net to go in. If he gets the shot off in front of the goalie. It was, I think, a left to right pass. This team is so good. I see it. They just got to clean their game up. If they don't, they're not going to compete. Did I say we lost to Arcadia? We didn't. We play Arcadia later. We lost to Adrian. Oh, I keep making errors today. Oh, great. But if this Utica team can just clean themselves up, they can play with an Adrian. They can play with a Geneseo, who may have just lost a few people. They can beat them. They can beat a Stevenson if they clean themselves up and play like they should be playing. If they don't, they're not gonna beat those top teams. They're not gonna beat a top, like the number 1 or the number 2 or Stevenson. They can barely beat. I think you should be able to beat Adrian. You got the talent. Play like it. Now, we're going to go over to the Comets. I will save the Rangers for next time just because we are hitting half an hour already. The Comets didn't look good last game. Dawes is now down. I'm not as worried. But let me just say this. Poulter in goal didn't go great. He allowed 8 in the game. 4 in the first by the end of the first. 7, I think, by the end of the second. I'm sorry, I get it. You're thrown into the fire, feet first, but I don't really need to see. And Mittens is hurt. That's the guy I really would like to see back up. He's hurt, from what I'm hearing, because I haven't seen him at all. So, what other option do you have? I get it, but right now it's not the right option. Is Casella a better option? I don't know. Is there a free agent goalie that could work as an AHL goalie? Probably. Backup goalie for now? Yeah, sure. But also, they don't want to bring somebody in, blah, blah, blah. There's logistics to it. But at the same time, I think if you need someone that can reliably back up Dawes to win games. If not, oh well. The team is performing well, though. I thought without Holtz, this team might take a little step back. Holtz and Zetterlund and Ball, and they have a little bit. Nemec has come down, or as I call him, Nemo. I got it from somewhere else. I don't remember where I got it. I don't remember who calls him it, but I kind of picked it up, and now it works. When he came in, the word was he plays really smart. Well, for a number 2 pick, I guess he should. But that was his main. That was his main great thing, was he is super smart. Yeah, the kid is wicked smart. Like, when you watch him, he plays a very smart game. He does. He may not shoot the best, or there may be times where he's not necessarily he doesn't necessarily do the smartest thing, like, I don't know, place himself in the best spot, but he's a very smart guy. He's got a high hockey IQ, and it shows on the ice. And it's good that he's filling Ball's spot because he plays well. He's not the same type as Ball necessarily. They both have different strengths, both have different strengths and weaknesses. Some of them, but still, as much as I miss Ball, Nemec is still great to have, and I'm excited to see him as long as he's here. The defensemen are doing good. The forwards are doing good. Gambardella is now in a yellow jersey in practice, so that's good. He could be back soon. Thing is it's just there's times where the team doesn't want to output goals, and it sucks. Hallinan played a great game against Syracuse. Not a great, but he scored 2 goals because nobody else would. Allen's playing a good season. Gertstein's playing great as an enforcer. He's gotten into multiple fights already this year. That's good. The former Ranger, I'm glad. I'm glad to see him come in and do what he does best and throw hands, and he's kind of teaching Hallinan a little bit because Hallinan started throwing hands in a game earlier this season too and did it well. And that was the first thing I heard was Gertstein's teaching him something because he's throwing hands down. Clark and Foote and those guys are playing a good game so far. Tice has been in and out. He did get scratched last game at home. I think this team is just going to come down to the right goaltending, the right chemistry. Well, not chemistry, but the right guys, I should say, not chemistry. They're having their fair share of struggles in the front 6 or front 5, and by front 5 I just mean forwards and defensemen. And then in goal, they've had some great games from Schmidt and Dawes. Honestly, coming back from last year, I'd be the better goalie as of right now, just because Dawes has proven more to me. I'm not saying Schmidt's not a good goalie. I'm not saying Dawes is the greatest goalie ever. I'm saying Dawes has proven more to me so far, and as much so as Schmidt, even though he's the guy up there, and he played a great game in New Jersey. I want to see what he can do here, but I haven't looked at stats yet. I haven't deep dived this so far. I'm just going off of what I've seen from both of them. Right now, I still think Schmidt's that same player from last year that I saw. Dawes, I think is too, but as of right now, I have a little more faith, like a 1% more faith in Dawes than I do in Schmidt. And it's nothing against Schmidt. It's just I think he has to prove a little more to me. Is he doing that in New Jersey? Yes, he is. He's raised my confidence level in him a little bit with him being up in New Jersey. That's good. He played a great lights out. Or he played great when he was in overtime in that game when Vanacek went down. But it sounds like Vanacek's back, and soon it's once Blackwood gets back soon, within the next month, I think it is. I think Schmidt's back. I think Schmidt will be back after that. But there's still, I don't know what this team's got to do right now to fix it. I don't. I don't have a clue what it needs to do to fix the problems it currently has. But all I'll say is, if it wants to win, it's got to fix it soon. If not, oh well. You're gonna get beat around by a team like Syracuse who had a hot night. They've been losing some games that they should be winning. They've been going to overtime games at times when they should win, and they don't. You can't just say, oh well, and move on to the next game. Because eventually, if you continue to just keep saying, oh well, I'll move on to the next game. Oh well, I'll move on to the next game, you're gonna get screwed. But anyways, that's enough ranting. Well, that was actually a very long one for once. Well, next week we have Utica Comets play Friday. No, I think it's Saturday. Friday or Saturday. And then you have UC playing Friday, Saturday, 7 and 2 o'clock, I think they're Sunday. I do know that for the Rangers, they do play tonight. And they play at least another 1 or 2 games this week. So that is an outlook for those guys. I guess that's it. Well, I guess we'll come back next week with more stuff to talk about.